Hey, welcome back to the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and today we're going to be talking about non-scale victories on this Friday. So this is something that's very important if you have a weight loss, health, or body composition goal. You need to be paying attention to your non-scale victories, which we're going to go over what those are and why they're important and why you can't just use the scale for everything. But before we get into that, do check down below in the show notes for free stuff. Also follow me on other social media channels if you're not already. If you want to see more information like I'm putting out here, just in shorter form. Right now I'm only doing the podcast once a week, but I post 4 to 6 times a week on reels and stuff on my social media, plus stories on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. With that being said, the TikTok and Instagram handle did change a little bit. So instead of Chris_PWC, because peak wellness coaching is no longer really a thing, it is now Coach Chris Heskett. So that is the new handle. If you're looking for me, it's at Coach Chris Heskett. Let's get into it. So non-scale victories, what are they? It's exactly what it sounds like. It is anything related to improvements towards your goal that's not related to scale weight. So I've discussed this in the past with issues about just using the scale, but if you're new, we can't just use the scale to determine if we're moving closer to your goal or further away. For example, you've lost inches, but you haven't lost any weight. Or even the scale's gone up, but you've lost inches. How does that make sense? The scale can bump up and down for a variety of reasons. Did you poop today? Did you eat a bunch of salty food and you retain water? Did you eat a bunch of carbs the day before, more than usual, but you stay within your calorie goal, but that's going to cause water retention? Are you inflamed because you're super sore from a workout? Or maybe you did yard work for 8 hours and you're super sore the next day. All these factors are going to play a role into how gravity affects you because you're holding onto water. And that's all weight is. It's just like the effect of gravity pulling you down. And it spits out a number. So the scale doesn't go down. If your goal is weight loss, it's not going to go down in a straight line. It's going to do this thing that looks like a stock chart going up and down. So there's a general trend going down. But if you don't look long term, you can lose sight week to week of like, hey, like I'm up this week. I'm only down a quarter of a pound. I'm up half a pound. I'm down 2 pounds. And that can be frustrating, especially early on, or if you're not looking at the long-term trends, which is why we want to use things like how our clothes fit, your waist measurement or hip measurements, or any other measurements you want to use. How you look in progress photos. Yes, progress photos are awkward, but do take them. You can see week to week differences if you're losing body fat. Last year when I documented week to week, every single week of my fat loss phase, there were weeks where I didn't lose much or even like gain a little bit of weight, but you could tell, hey, I'm way leaner this week than I was last week or even 2 weeks ago. So that gets us into non-scale victories. And I just list off a few of them. Those things I like to check with my clients each week. But what are things other than just focusing on weight loss, especially if you have a goal that's even slower? If you're in fat loss, guess what? Building muscle or body composition goals are even slower than fat loss. So it can be frustrating when, like for fat loss, we're like, okay, we're going to aim for like a pound of weight loss a week. Some people will be 2 pounds, some people will be half a pound. But in general, you're seeing week to week. When you get past that beginner stage of building muscle, we're talking about like, okay, we're going to aim for like building like 1 pound of muscle this month. Like that's it. We're going to aim for just a little bit more. So it can be frustrating where you're going 1 month, and if you plateau, okay, I've worked my ass off all month, and then you see like, and I'm the same, or the scale affected you weird that day, so show no change. So we can look at waist measurements. We can do other measurements, obviously. We can see how our clothes fit. We can see progress photos. But we should also focus on things that do matter to us. What's your blood work looking like? Like if you have a health goal, have we improved our blood pressure? Have we improved our triglycerides and cholesterol? Have we improved other areas? How are we sleeping? Is our sleep better? Is our stress better? Is our relationship with food better? Um, is like there's many factors in health wise in that area. It's not even related to your body composition, but indirectly related. Like, well, I did want to improve this. Um, my family has a high history of X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's heart issues. Well, did your resting heart rate come down? So we have improved cardiovascular health and fitness. Um, is it something related to the gym? So that heart rate thing, that's related. But also, did we make improvements with any of our lifts? Did we increase weight? Did we increase reps? Did we increase time on something like plank? Did we do something for the first time, like your first push-up, your first 60-second plank, your first weighted squat? Like all those things need to be celebrated, and we can then go into you've always wanted to hike. So now you did your first 3 mile hike, or you did your first mountain hike, or maybe you want to go dancing like you used to and you just don't have the energy. Well, you're able to do that. There's so many different things that are non-scale victories. You just have to figure out what's important to you. So I had a client years ago where she came to the gym because she knew she needed to get healthy, but she was also getting ready for her wedding. And so she lost a ton of weight. It was awesome. Comes back from her wedding. She's like, I jumped for the first time in like a decade. Like, wait, what? They're like, I couldn't jump. And music was blasting at wedding, and I started hopping up and down like I used to back in my 20s. And then it hit me. I haven't done this in like 10 years. It's like, holy shit, that's a massive non-scale victory. That's like, why are we losing weight? For things like that. Like, hey, like, I have energy to play with my kids again. I can get up and down off the floor and play with them. Or maybe it's I can get up and down off the floor without it being a really stressful thing if you're older. Like, oh, if I fall, I don't know if I can get myself up. Well, can you do like a Turkish get up? If you can, then that's really important. That was actually a study. The people who can get up off the floor without using their arms have, I forget this, 60%. It was something real above 50%, like reduction in mortality. So having the strength and coordination to be able to get up off the ground without using your hands. So one way to train for that is something like a Turkish get up. So the point being, non-scale victories are ultimately more important than your weight loss goal. You have a weight loss goal, but reality is that weight loss goal is leading you to these other goals. There's also a lot of times a delay between the gratification we get with, okay, great, I have this weight loss goal. Maybe you need to lose a lot of weight, like 50 pounds. It's going to take a while to get there. And it can be really boring and monotonous. Let me rephrase that. It will be really boring and monotonous going from day one to that final day where you hit that goal. And then if you just focus on that, this is a problem some people run into of the post-goal blues. You hit the goal and then it's like, yeah, great. You celebrate for like an hour or so. And then it's like, now what? What did hitting that arbitrary number really do for you? So addressing the first part, the kind of boring grinding it out, non-scale victories make things fun. Like you're trying to lose weight and you've lost 10 pounds and all of a sudden I can go up and down the stairs without losing my breath. Celebrate that win. I can do a plank. I can do a push-up. I can do a pull-up. I can do a weighted squat finally. Like I finally built up the mobility and strength of my legs. I'm adding weight to my squats. I am doing deadlifts. I am increasing the weight on my bench press, et cetera, like so many different things. All these things are celebrated and they actually lead you to having better results. You're focusing on the right things because after you reach your goal, you're going to need to focus on those things before you figure out what's next. Maybe it is, okay, well, I'm going to reach this goal and then I'm going to train for something, but you can train sort of for it so you're ready in the meantime. Also, it builds positive reinforcement. We don't want to build up and just focus on scale, which can go up and down and really ruin your mindset when we know week after week after week we can have some sort of win. Like, yeah, the scale didn't move, that sucks. But I know I'm making progress because I improved my squat this week. I increased the speed at which, or the incline on the treadmill, same speed and time, but I increased the incline, so my cardio is getting better. I bench pressed more weight. I rode more weight. All these things. So I'm getting these wins. So yeah, the scale didn't go down, but I know I'm still heading in the right direction because I made improvements. I hit all my numbers with my nutrition. I'm making improvements in the gym. I will see changes down the road. So having all these little victories, the path, the road to your ultimate goal is paved with all these little victories, all these non-scale victories. So it's not magically you're going to lose all the weight and things are perfect. It's going to be all these little victories, and then you're going to lose the weight and be like, that's really not all that important. It's all these other habits and other wins I've had have led me to actually being able to reach this, and these are the actual important things. So that's why we want to focus on that. We want to focus on those non-scale victories for mindset reasons, for being able to. So when it comes to non-scale victories, just make sure that you are paying attention to those, definitely more often than not, celebrating those and giving them the attention you deserve. Because getting frustrated and falling off track because you haven't lost weight, which has happened time and time again. I had a client a couple of months ago where after just 1 week, she didn't see a scale drop despite quote unquote doing everything right. And then she just disappeared. You can't just focus on the scale. 2, if you are doing everything right, you are going to have non-scale victories. If you have no non-scale victories, then you're probably not going to have any scale victories either, which means you're not doing everything right. And there was a reel going around, and we actually talked about this not too long ago. Maybe that's on next week's podcast, or it was this past week. So the episode that came out this week, I forget when we talked about it, but it's fresh in my memory of people saying they're doing everything right, but they're not doing the things that actually move the needle. Like I feel like I'm doing everything right. I'm eating more protein, which is awesome. I'm exercising. I'm drinking water. I am doing this. I'm doing that. And it's like, you never once said you were doing any sort of portion control or tracking or anything like that. Like, your goal is weight loss and you haven't controlled your nutrition whatsoever. Like, well, I'm eating more protein. Great. How many calories are you eating? Where's that protein coming from? Because I've heard people like, I'm eating more protein, and then it comes from peanut butter. Like, yeah, but your calories are 3,500 a day. Like, you're not going to lose weight. As a 5'5" female at like 180 pounds, like that's just not going to happen at 3,500 calories. Sorry, unless you're like running a marathon every single day, which is not recommended. So the non-scale victories tell you you're moving in the right direction. Sometimes like too much gym performance can be a sign like you might be eating at maintenance calories because you're just doing a little too well, but you can fine tune that. Like, okay, I'm getting everything in. I'm seeing all this progress at the gym. My recovery is really good. My sleep's really good. Everything seems really good. My hunger's fine. What is it like? Oh, you're just eating a few too many calories. Like, let's just cut out 300 calories out of your day. Oh, okay, now we're moving. Like, you're just eating too much. And that's where, something's fit. Like, why isn't things adding up? Have you been tracking religiously? No. Let's start. Okay, so you're probably just eating a little too much. I know right now I am actively trying to lose weight. I am hungry all the time, between meals, I should say. I'm satisfied with my meals, but then in between meals, I get hungry. I usually don't wake up hungry. I wake up hungry now. I am hungry between breakfast and lunch. Usually I was like, lunch, whatever. I'll push it off to like 2. No, I'm eating at like noon. I'm like, it's 11:30. I'm going to go ahead and eat lunch. Dinner, like, I'm hungry by the time dinner runs around, and then after dinner, that snack, and usually I have some slight hunger before I go to bed. I am hungry. That means I know that's a sign I'm in the fat loss phase. it's also a sign that if I don't track, I'm going to overeat because my hunger cues are going to be there. Like, you know what? Did I really eat that much? I can do a little snack. I can do a little. Yeah, and that's a quick way to sideline all your results and just be stagnant. Anyways, non-scale victories. Focus on them. Use them. They're super important. They're going to help get you through the middle boring section of your diet, of your body composition goals. They're going to ultimately be really the reason you're kind of doing this. Like, unless your whole goal and your whole identity is wrapped up in vanity of how you look, which is fine to improve how you look, by the way. That's, big thing I started, and basically why I'm losing weight for 2 reasons. One, my clothes don't fit really because I'm all my clothes are from when I bought stuff as a personal trainer with a 10% body fat year round, because I was getting 15,000+ steps a day plus working out. One, my clothes don't fit, but two, it is mostly because I don't love the way I look. I feel like I need to be a little bit leaner. It's not, so I'm not saying vanity is wrong, but it shouldn't be the only reason. Like, if I was doing this and then it was also affecting time with my family, really affecting my gym performance, I was neglecting other things, different story. That's bad. But I'm doing it because, hey, like, this is going to ultimately improve things. One, my pull-up numbers will go back up to where they need to be. It'll be easier on my joints, especially some of my old injuries with my hip and my left knee. So it'll help improve those areas. So I'm going to lose some weight, which is fine, but I'm going to focus on the scale. I'm going to be a little bit more focused with my training. And then afterwards, I'm definitely going to be focused with my training. Anyways, that's going to be it today, guys. So again, give the show a like if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you subscribe, follow wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, please reach out to me if you have something you feel like you could offer the audience, or just if you are like, well, I don't want to be a guest, always sharing the episode onto your social media helps push the show out there to reach more people so it can grow, which is appreciated. Anyways, until next time, guys, have a good one. Enjoy your weekend.